The Calgary Police Service has laid charges against a former resident of Calgary in relation to embezzling more than $700,000 from her former place of work over the last 4 years. During a 10-month investigation, the Calgary Police Service was able to determine a former employee of Colliers International, a Canada-based global commercial real estate company, forged cheques with proceeds intended for the Colliers Cares Foundation, ultimately defrauding the Calgary office of Colliers International. It is alleged that she wrote more than 90 cheques to herself, along with 2 additional fraudulent cheques to the Canadian Progress Club, Calgary Mount Royal, where she was then treasurer and club president. It is estimated that the total funds taken from the foundation account were more than $561,000. It is also alleged that she forged cheques from Colliers' account to the foundation account in an attempt to cover up continued fraudulent activity. It is estimated that this amount totaled approximately $147,000. On Saturday, December 15th, 2018, Nicole Mann, 35, was arrested and charged with 1 count of fraud over $5,000, 1 count of theft over $5,000, and 1 count of laundering the proceeds of crime. Mann is scheduled to appear in court on Friday, January the 4th, 2019. Police would like to thank Colliers and the Canadian Progress Club for their cooperation throughout the investigation.
So how did this first come to light? How did she first trip any suspicions?
So the Calgary Police Service was called to Colliers International in March of this year, as they had discovered that money had been missing from their foundation account.
It looks like she was pretty active in a number of different charities and different groups. Do you have reason to believe that this could extend to other groups here in Calgary?
What I can tell you is I do believe that there's individuals or organizations that have further information, and they are encouraged to come forward and make a formal complaint to the Calgary Police Service.
But you don't have any proof yet of any other groups that perhaps were affected by this fraud?
Not at this time.
She purchased a couple homes, properties in BC, or any idea where those properties might be, or can you elaborate on that?
I can't.
Any other purchases that you might be able to elaborate on, like in Calgary or anything like that?
The investigation does show that, and it is believed that she did purchase at least 1 property here, and that some of the funds were used for vehicle payments, as well as to trade a vehicle in and purchase a newer vehicle with the proceeds of the fraud.
How common is this in Calgary these days?
From my experience, I believe that it is more common than one would think. However, I don't think it is formally reported as much as we believe that this goes on.
Why do you think that is?
Many different reasons, and from my experience, it's maybe because they didn't catch this, because it happened over a period of time, is generally the reason I believe that they're not reported as often as what they are happening.
I'm surprised that she was able to do this for 40 years.
So what I can tell you, and from my experience, is that employees, individuals, sometimes long-term employees that are placed in positions of trust are able to circumvent the controls that are already put in place by many organizations.
Are there enough checks and balances, do you think, in charities and corporations to prevent this kind of thing?
I believe that there are checks and balances. Could there be more? I believe on a smaller level that yes, there could be more checks and balances placed.
On a scale of how big this is, how big is this kind of arrest and bust here in Calgary?
From my experience, this is a larger dollar amount than what you typically see. Yeah.
Isn't it unfortunate sometimes that sometimes these things happen to non-profit groups or non-profit things? This has happened more than more commercial?
Absolutely. I believe that the funds, that the net proceeds from the funds were earmarked for many different charities, and over this last period of 4 years that they did not get the funds that were earmarked for them.
And I know you can't get personal, but how despicable is that that this money was going to charities?
I really don't want to comment on that.
Do you know what the process is for them to get their money back, or how that works?
So again, from my experience, it is really up to the courts now whether restitution is ordered. I would think that it would be asked that restitution is paid, and then again, it comes down to whether the individual can pay it back.
Was she known to police at all before this?
Miss Mann was not known to police before this.
Where is she now? What is happening with her now?
I can't really tell you at this point because I don't know if she remained in Calgary or if she's returned
So she was
to.
arrested in Calgary?
She was, yes.
Is there some key things that maybe sometimes in nonprofit things that maybe people are, you know, should always be writing a check, always not giving cash? Is that something, or is there something, when I'm going to make a donation or something, is there some things even that you can talk about that people are, just to make sure that there is some kind of record?
Right. Well, what I can tell you is that use a trusted organization, and like I said, there definitely were checks and balances, and there are people that will find a way, no matter what, to go around those checks and balances.
So sorry, she does live in Calgary, or she doesn't live in Calgary?
She is a former resident of Calgary and is not believed to reside in Calgary any longer.
So we don't know if she's in Calgary right now as she awaits her court date?
That's correct.
But her court date will be here.
Yes, her court date, at least her first court date is here in Calgary, yes.
So is there any charges pending in BC concerning the properties? I don't know if you could comment on that.
Well, what I can tell you is that, and from my experience, is with respect to the that's generally turns over to be a civil process versus a criminal process.
You know how many homes she?
Believed to be 2 properties,
That includes the one in Calgary?
4 properties,
So 4 properties in total?
yes.
And then
2
you
here and
said-
2 in BC.
2 here, 2 in BC, and you said a number of vehicles?
So what the investigation was able to tell me is that one of her vehicles was paid for by the proceeds of her fraud, and then that vehicle was recently traded in and paid again from the proceeds of her fraud.
Was there any money
It is.
left over, or was it all invested in property?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Is there anybody else that you guys are also, that may also be charged in this?
No, there will be, with respect to the Colliers investigation, she is the only one that will be charged.